Recording is on.
Thank you for joining me today. I am Dave Hultin, and I am your AI for Printers workshop host. Today's workshop is about using the Customer Testimonial Library AI workflow prompt to build a testimonial system that helps your sales team close more sales. And we'll use that as a real practical example of how AI workflows turn AI guesswork into something that you and your team can actually rely on. Let me kick things off by introducing you to Karen. Karen has been running her print shop for 11 years, and she'd built the kind of customer list that most owners would be proud of. She had repeat buyers, long-term contracts, and the kind of clients who send holiday cards to her. So when her newest sales rep lost a $6,000 job to a shop across town, Karen didn't understand it. The prospect hadn't even asked about price. The other printer showed us how they helped a company like ours, the prospect told her rep. You just told us you could handle it. Well, Karen pulled up her website to see what proof was there. She found one testimonial. Great quality, great service, would definitely recommend. Which, if you've ever looked at a competitor's website, that's also their testimonial, word for word. It's the participation trophy of customer proof. Well, Karen had hundreds of happy customers. Her sales team had 0 usable testimonials. The customers would have happily shared their stories. Nobody had asked them the right questions. The fix wasn't more customers. It was capturing the proof she already had. And that's exactly what we're going to do today in our workshop. So let's kick things off. How many of you can relate to Karen? I want to see who's paying attention here. So I want to make sure you can find the chat in your meeting chat there. Look for the bubble there, and want to make sure that you can just type in something into that chat. How many Karens do we have? That's probably the wrong name to use in today's lingo, but I'm sure we've all had those Karen moments here. So today's workshop, we're going to be hands-on. So get ready with your favorite AI tool. That can be ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Microsoft Copilot. It really doesn't matter which one it is. Just have it ready. And if you don't have your favorite yet, just go to chatgpt.com and create an account. It takes about 30 seconds, and the free version will work for everything we'll be doing here today. Now, during the workshop, when you hear me use the term AI workflow, I'm simply talking about a structured AI prompt that's designed to guide the work it does with you step by step, so the results are consistent instead of hit or miss. That'll become obvious as we go through the workshop. And today's workshop will also answer this question. Why does trying harder with AI still feel like I'm guessing on what to do with AI? That can show up in a few different ways. You try a prompt, you get results that look decent, then you try it again tomorrow and it's different, or maybe it's just generic, or worse yet, it doesn't quite fit how your print business actually works. The problem is most people are using AI like a one-off tool instead of a repeatable system. And when you use AI as a one-off tool, you're either going to be underwhelmed or overwhelmed or land somewhere between fear and confusion. And today is really about seeing the huge potential in AI so you don't get stuck between fear and confusion. Now, before we dig in, I want to be clear about what we're here to accomplish today. The goal isn't to understand customer testimonials better. You already know how they work. The goal is to leave this workshop with a system that turns the good things your customers are already saying about you into proof your sales team can actually use to close the next deal. That's what we're building towards. And the agenda that we'll use, it's on the screen there, is we're going to run the workflow. That's our hands-on part. We're going to see the system. We'll zoom out to take a look at how that one workflow is part of that larger system. And then we'll talk about the ways to keep that momentum going. So let's talk about what brought you here today. Most likely you heard me talk about the simple version of the customer testimonial library prompt, either at aiforprinters.com or through my posts on LinkedIn. Some of you requested the upgraded version of that simple prompt so you could get even better results, and we'll walk through that too. But for today's big win, I'm going to show you the AI workflow version of that prompt. That's the one everyone actually wants because it's the one that helps you get real, meaningful work done with AI. It's the version of the prompt that produces the high-value results. And you'll get today's customer testimonial library prompt in just a moment. But first, let's set a baseline. The baseline is what happens when you try something like this without AI. Most shops will have a handful of generic quotes on their website, collected informally over the years, and no one's owning that process. If you wanted to hire a marketing consultant to build a testimonial strategy, write collection templates, and format for multiple channels, that's probably going to park you in the neighborhood of $2,000 to $4,000. And so most shops will just skip that entirely. So the real baseline is opportunity cost. Prospects hear claims, but they never see the structured proof. That's what happens when you do it without AI. But let's build up to where we're going by looking at this simple prompt. Let's bring AI into the conversation. And honestly, this prompt is too basic, and I kind of hope you don't use it, but still want to show it to you so you can use that as a reference point to better see where we're going. There's the prompt. It's just that simple. Ask me for a customer testimonial or a few sentences about a happy customer's experience, then rewrite it into a structured testimonial that includes the problem they had before, what changed after working with us, and one clear result that would matter to a future customer. So I won't spend a lot of time on this, but I did pre-run these so that you can get a better feel about that. And if we were to look at that simple prompt, there it is. We just paste that into AI or type it in, whichever way we're doing it here. And AI will do exactly what we asked. AI is going to then ask us, tell me about a happy customer experience you've had. We provide that experience, and it gives us that polished version that follows the structure future customers care about. Okay, not bad, but also not great, kind of free-flowing. And if you've used AI with any bit of regularity, you know that it can just kind of ramble on through until we hope we find an ending point. So it did exactly what we asked. So there is no cost to run this prompt. If you have your AI tool going, you just type it in, but there's also not a lot of benefit either. It produces a checklist, perhaps, of what strong testimonials should include and where to use them. And that can be useful for thinking through the problem, but it doesn't produce meaningful testimonial assets or a collections system. That's where we're headed. So we can take another step forward with the prompt upgrade. Let's take a look at that one in AI. You can see it on the screen here. A few things I'll point out. Let me bring it up on in the pre-run version of it first. And just a couple things I'll point out is we've added some structure to it. We asked AI, or we told AI to ask me the following questions one at a time. What do your best customers count on you for that they couldn't get from another printer? What's the most common concern or hesitation? Where will your sales team use these? Think of a customer who's been happy with your work. So we're telling AI, ask me these questions. And then we're telling AI that once we provide the answers, here's what I want. I want 3 versions. I want a sales-ready snippet. I want a proposal insert and a website testimonial. Again, I'm just going to stay high level here. But if we look through that, AI does that. It asks us the questions. We respond. And it produces our results. So this is better. This is absolutely better than what we did with the simple prompt. What does that look like? Well, in this version, AI acts like a marketing strategist. It asks targeted questions about current customer relationships and sales objections. It produces a testimonial evaluation framework and collection templates. That's equivalent to roughly a quarter of a full consultant engagement. So we're getting perhaps $500 to $800 worth of work from that. Okay, so now on the next screen, you're going to see what an AI workflow looks like. And it's probably going to look a lot longer than you expect. And that's normal. Using it is as simple as copying and pasting and answering the questions as it walks you through the workflow. So here it is. This is the AI workflow prompt. This is the one you came here for. This is the customer testimonial library AI workflow prompt. It's the one I'm giving you today. It's the one that turns AI from interesting into useful. Now, before I walk through this, I want to pause just for a second, because what you've seen so far is how improving a prompt improves results. What you're about to see is what happens when you stop trying to get the prompt right and you let the workflow do the thinking for you and with you. So the prompt looks a lot longer than the others. That doesn't mean it's harder for you. It means AI has more to work with, which actually means there are fewer decisions for you to make to get quality work done. So you're not expected to remember any of this. You don't have to understand how it's written. Just copy it and paste it and answer the questions as it walks you through the workflow. This is you and AI working together over multiple steps where AI does the hard work and you check in to keep it pointing in the right direction. So I'll walk you through it now. And so look for the improvements as we progress from a simple prompt to the upgraded prompt, and then to this AI workflow prompt. And then right after that, we'll go hands-on when I share the customer testimonial library AI workflow prompt with you. So let me pull that one up. And again, this is a pre-run version here because I just want to stay high level. It's so tempting for me to get in the weeds, but I do need to stay high level so we can get this in your hands. So you will be able to copy and paste this, which is exactly what I did right here. And AI introduces itself. It says, I'm stepping in as your sales and marketing partner for your print shop, focused on helping you turn customer success into something your sales team can actually use to win more work. Just even that first sentence, doesn't that sound nice? Isn't that what we want AI to help us with? Well, then it continues. We're going to build a customer testimonial library together, one that doesn't just collect nice quotes, but actively supports selling more printing. And then it suggests, here's the path we're going to follow. It gives us our 7 steps. I won't read through those. You'll see those for yourself in a moment, but there are our 7 steps. And then the AI workflow offers this. Would you like a brief summary of the strategy behind effective testimonials first? Or do you want to jump right in? So that's an interesting moment, because if we're on a topic that maybe you just felt you wanted to polish up your knowledge or your approach to that a little bit, you just type in summary like I've done here, and it'll give you a little mini education, which you can go as far as you want. And then it continues. So AI will then continue to hold your hand and walk you through those steps, one step at a time, by asking you some context questions. How do you currently use customer testimonials, if at all? You'll respond with your answer. And then AI is going to have a few moments of thinking, and it's going to work with you and say, okay, now I understand based on the context you provide. An important point to note is between each one of those steps, that's where you come back in and say, good job, AI, let's keep on going. Or perhaps you notice something and you say, that isn't quite right. That's not quite what I meant, or we need to change direction. That's your role, is take a few thoughtful moments between each one of those steps, work with AI to get the work done. All right, so that's what a step looks like, and we can fast forward. There's step 2, step 3 is in here. All these steps are here. I'm going to go all the way to the end. It actually sometimes takes longer to talk about it than it does to actually do it. Then we get close to the end. And the last thing I want to show you before we get the hands-on is this, the final review and implementation. We're getting the big finish here. We end with a playbook that captures everything that we just talked about. You can then do the work that AI has done for you. I didn't quite sound right. You can execute the work. It maybe be a better way of saying it. AI has done a lot of that thinking for you, and then it doesn't have to be done. That is the end of it, but then we have some optional next steps. What's a predictable way we might move forward? What's a bold way? What's an experimental way? Some interesting paths to consider as we go on. All right, I promised I wasn't going to get into the weeds, and I'm dangerously close, maybe even on the wrong side of dangerously close. Let's unpack just a little bit of that, and then we're going to get this prompt into your hands. What does that look like to do the work with AI? You get a complete system covering testimonial objectives. You get high-value testimonial identification. You get a structured collection process, multi-channel formatting. It's all categorized by your prospect's concerns, and you get an ongoing collection schedule. That produces a usable library of testimonials formatted for proposals, for email, for web, for sales conversations. And if we look at that, that all happens in almost instantly we're getting the equivalent of roughly $1,500 to $3,000 of consultant level work. And that is the promise of AI. All right, let's get this in your hands. And now it's time for you to run the workflow for yourself. And it starts by going to mi4p.com/workflow. Let me put that in the chat so you can get to it easy. And there it shows up in the chat now. It truly is as simple as getting the workflow and then copying and pasting. So step one is you go to that address, mi4p.com/workflow. You'll see that in your in the chat there. And so you go to step one, provide your information, and then you're going to see this big orange button that says copy. That's the copy part of it. Then you move over into your AI tool and you paste it into your AI. It's that simple. Get the workflow prompt, copy it, and paste it into your AI. Now, for those of you watching the recording, that's the same starting point for you too. And I want to be very clear about the goal of this hands-on part of the workshop. The goal is not to finish that. You can do that later. The goal is just to get a feel of what it's like to work with an AI workflow prompt. So I'm going to get that timer running. We're going to go for about 90 seconds. I'll turn my camera off for that time while you try out that workflow. Then come back on and I'll bring us together at that time. I'll still be here listening in on chat. And if any of you need to open up your microphone and ask a question, just go ahead and do that. But otherwise, just go ahead and copy and paste it into your AI, run it, and let AI lead the work. So 90 seconds to try the AI workflow. If questions come up, I'll be watching the chat and or just open up your mic and you can ask your questions. Here comes your 90 seconds now. So just as a reminder, head on over to mi4p.com/workflow. Look for that copy button. Once you copy that, you'll then be able to paste that into your AI. Let AI lead the work. You might start by grabbing that summary or typing in, give me a summary when it first asks, or you can hop right in. If you have any questions, just go ahead and drop them into the chat and we'll have an opportunity later to go deeper. And remember to let AI lead the conversation. You can always ask AI to help you with any of the areas that might be getting stuck on. But chances are you're not going to get stuck because AI is going to be leading that conversation for you. All right, let's pause here. That's 90 seconds worth of running an AI workflow. So even if you're in the middle of something useful, you don't need to finish this right now. At the end of the workshop, we'll have an opportunity to go deeper. For now, what I want you to notice is this. If you use an AI workflow, you don't have to figure out what to ask. You don't have to think through the steps. You don't have to remember anything. Also notice that you stay in control the whole time and let the workflow do the heavy lifting. That's the difference between just playing with AI and actually using it to get real work done. Now, so far, we've been focused on how AI works. Now we're going to shift to something more important, your actual day-to-day work, because the goal isn't to get better at AI. The goal is to get better results in your sales and marketing and use AI as the system that helps you do that consistently. So if that felt easier than you expected, that's not an accident. That's what happens when AI is structured to work the way you work. Look at what just came out of that workflow. It organized your testimonials by the concerns your prospects actually bring up, and it gives you sales-ready snippets for each one. This isn't a document to file away. This is what your rep sends in their next follow-up email. Here's what that might sound like. I know reliability is a big deal when you're switching printers. One of our healthcare clients had the same concern, and they haven't needed a single reprint in 2 years. Now, a quick note for anyone watching the recording, the live attendees just saw that workflow start working. If you want to run it yourself, you can grab it at mi4p.com/workflow. So now that you've seen the different levels of prompts, let's do a check-in and tell me how you're using AI today. Does the way you use AI match up with simple prompts, upgraded prompts, or AI workflow prompts? And you think of that famous line, that's one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind. The distance between A and B, that's your small step. And the distance between B and C, that's your giant leap. So go ahead and drop that into the meeting chat. If history repeats itself, most of you are likely at an A or a B. It's pretty rare that I see someone dropping in a C. But go ahead and drop in where you are at with your AI experience today. Are you using simple prompts? Are you using upgraded prompts? Or are you using an AI workflow prompt? Which one matches closely to you? All right, we've got a quiet bunch here today. Either I'm lulling you to sleep or I'm amazing you with all the AI stuff here. So go ahead and drop in your A, B, or C into the chat if you would. All right, I might have to harass you all afterwards here. So we'll get the crowd participation trophy to someone else this time. Let's keep going. Let's put some numbers on that gap. We talk about that large gap there. This is what a testimonial library looks like across all 3 levels and what it replaces. So if you remember that baseline, that without AI column, that's what a consultant would charge to build something like this, maybe $2,000 to $4,000. Most shops don't pay that. They just skip building the system. So it becomes an opportunity cost. That's the baseline without AI. If you look over on the other end, that workflow column, that produces the equivalent of $1,500 to $3,000 of that work, really at no cost to you, 0 cost, just run the workflow prompt. The formats, without AI, you've got a quote or 2 on the website, maybe a case study. The workflow produces 8 to 12 variations of each testimonial formatted for proposals or emails or LinkedIn, web, and sales conversations. It's the same raw material your customers already gave you, just structured for where your rep actually needs it. Third column, third row, concerns matched with proof. This is the one I want you to look at. Most shops have testimonials that mention quality or turnaround if you're lucky. The workflow organizes them by specific concerns your prospects raise. So when a rep hears, I'm worried about turnaround on specialty work, they can pull that proof that answers exactly that. Without AI, you're covering 1 or 2 generic sounding concerns. With the workflow, you create 6 or even more testimonials with proof that matches the concerns your customer raises. That's the giant leap, and we are building it together at this workshop. So what you just experienced is productivity with one workflow. It's not an AI trick. It's not a limited demo. It's one productivity workflow from a larger system we're actively refining for printers. And to me, what matters most is that it's shaped by how real printers like you actually use this stuff. This workflow lives inside what we call the productivity toolkit. You just experienced what happens when AI brings structure to just one part of your work. That's an important first step. But productivity alone doesn't produce meaningful business results. It's productivity multiplied by performance, multiplied by execution. That's what actually drives the results we're looking for. So let's zoom out for a moment. If you're responsible for sales and marketing in a commercial print shop, these are the buckets of work you're doing every day. They are your areas of responsibility for sales and marketing. And if we move those up to the top of a grid and then fill the columns with the tasks that need to happen in each one of those areas to be successful for your role, well, it would look like this. Now, this isn't a to-do list, it's a map. Each box represents a structured AI workflow for that specific piece of work. This can look like a lot, but here's what you need to understand. You're not meant to use all of this. In fact, the goal in the first 30 days is just to use the 3 workflows highlighted here. The target account list workflow to help you focus on the right prospects and customers, the prospecting email templates workflow to kickstart the sales process, and then the sales playbook workflow to lead those prospects and customers through your sales process. I don't want to add more work to your day. I just want to help you remove the friction from the work that's already there. And today's customer testimonial library workflow, that's from this toolkit. You didn't have to build it. You didn't need some fancy AI architect knowledge. You just needed to copy and paste and run the workflow. That's the difference between having a toolbox with labels and having the tools already built, ready to use. And when you work with a structured AI workflow, you plus AI can do the job at least 10 times faster with no compromise in quality and usually an increase in quality. Think about what happened when you ran today's customer testimonial library workflow. It was you plus AI. You were always in control. You didn't have to figure out the steps. You didn't have to decide what to ask next. You just move forward. That's your 10 times faster momentum. And there's no compromise in quality because you're still the checkpoint between each step. You are the quality control. And you will notice the quality of your work increase. That's because you're no longer guessing your way through it. That wasn't always true, but I had to update this slide and cross out the word usually. That's more that increase in quality. That's there just like every single time. That's where AI is these days. So today's workflow, that was about productivity. That's getting the work you already do done faster and more consistently. But productivity alone doesn't create results. If you just get the same work done faster, you're still doing the same work. Performance is where improvement happens. So performance, that's running small, focused experiments to improve what's working. And whoever runs the most performance experiments wins. AI doesn't just help you move faster, it helps you test ideas faster. So let's see what that looks like in your role. Productivity gives you time back. Now, what do you do with that time? Because if all AI does is help you move faster, but you're still guessing, then you're just guessing at a higher speed, and we don't want that. We want performance. We want performance to improve outcomes. So we're not talking about doing more work. We're talking about doing better work. And that starts by being clear about what you're actually trying to improve. In plain English, what's on your screen now are outcomes. These are the things you're responsible for getting better over time in the sales and marketing work that you do. Now, look at what's underneath each outcome. You'll see a combination of experts and known strategies from those experts. Some of them are highlighted here. Experts like David Ogilvy, Seth Godin, and Michael Porter are just a few of the examples. What you're really getting here is access to that level of thinking, specifically for sales and marketing and commercial printing. This toolkit represents tens of thousands of dollars of world-class consultant level work. And you don't have to use all of it. You just need to know it's there when you're ready. Each box in this grid is an experiment that runs as an AI workflow. We could run any of these workflows, just like we did with the AI productivity toolkit. Just like before, it would be a simple copy and paste exercise to start a process where we add context as AI interviews us at each step of the workflow. You're running these experiments quickly, without hiring consultants, without weeks of planning, and without guessing where to start. And here's a rule of business. Whoever runs the most performance experiments wins. Everything in the performance experiment toolkit will help you increase the performance and effectiveness of your business. AI can help you run those experiments very quickly and very efficiently. It'll draw that information out of you. It'll help bring things to the surface that you might not have even thought about. And it'll get you working with the knowledge of a world-class expert to help you with that performance experiment. That's where speed changes the game. AI doesn't just give you ideas. It helps you test those ideas 10 times faster. So just imagine that you and I have the exact same skills, exactly equally skilled. You run 2 experiments this quarter, I run 20. Who improves faster? Who learns faster? Who adapts faster? That's why I can say whoever runs the most performance experiments wins. And now you can run those experiments with world-class expertise baked right in. Remember how we started this workshop? You ran the customer testimonial library workflow. Just one workflow, and it worked. You didn't have to figure out what to ask. You didn't have to design the steps. You just moved forward to get results. It just worked. Here's the bigger idea. If one structured workflow can change how you complete a single task, what happens when you apply that same structure across your entire sales and marketing role? I'm not talking about random prompts or scattered experiments. This isn't the try this and hope it works model. I'm talking about a complete system built specifically for commercial printers. Productivity, so the daily work moves faster. Performance, so improvements are intentional. And execution, so nothing stalls out. So if this is making sense, but you don't quite know how to apply this to your business yet, we can help you with that execution. Just drop your name and email into the chat and we can follow up with you to help you with that. The AI Workflow Toolkit membership, that gives you structure, and that's the difference. Honestly, most printers aren't operating this way yet. Some are, and they're running with structure. And there's a big divide forming between the printers running AI with structure and those running it just as the one-off without structure way of doing AI. Without structure, AI just becomes another interesting idea that never turns into consistent execution. It moves you beyond casual AI usage into a system that runs your sales and marketing with intention. So this is a system that keeps your sales and marketing efforts moving forward. Even when production is slammed and you're overloaded, it'll help you move forward. So as we wrap up, here's the simple bullet point view of what continuing with structure actually looks like. Continuing, that means access to both toolkits built specifically for sales and marketing and commercial printing. You can share the workflows with your team. New workflows are added as we refine them based on real printer use. And every other week, we meet in the AI Roundtable to look at what's working and help you apply this inside your business. This is the big win. You are growing in a community of printers using AI with structure. So you're not just subscribing to a collection of AI workflows. You're a member of a living execution system built for printers who want their sales and marketing to move forward. So that membership, that's $199 per month, or you can choose the annual option for $19.99. That saves you almost $400. And most printers know within the first month or two whether this is helping them. That's why it's month to month, and you can cancel at any time. Something to think about. Whenever I'm deciding whether something is worth doing, here are 3 simple questions that help me make that decision. First one is, will this get me closer to my goals? If your goal is to run a more streamlined, AI-powered sales and marketing operation without adding more chaos, without hiring another person, without guessing, then this moves you in that direction. You already experienced what structured AI workflows feel like. The question isn't whether they work. The question is, do you want that consistent structure? Second question, does this increase my chances of success versus doing it alone? You can absolutely piece this together on your own, but that usually means a lot of trial and error, filtering out all the AI noise and inconsistent execution. And that's one more thing claiming space in your mind. This system gives you proven workflows for printers, plus an execution rhythm so the work actually moves forward. That dramatically increases the odds that this actually sticks. Third question, can I realistically make this investment work? For most printers, that's not a philosophical question. That's a practical question. So if one workflow saves you an hour a week, or follow-up lands one additional job because your follow-up is improving, if you can get better sales and marketing results with less thinking required, well, the math kind of takes care of itself. So if you can answer yes to those 3 questions, then continuing makes sense. And the path is mi4p.com /start AI. That's on the screen. I'll also drop that into the chat for you as well. So at a minimum, make sure you take the customer testimonial library workflow and put it to work. Before we're done today, write down the name of one customer who you know is happy with your work. Run the customer testimonial library workflow for your shop this week. Take the sales snippet it gives you, send it in your next follow-up email. That's your one job. You already have the happy customer. Now just put their words to work. Either way, just don't leave empty-handed. So we've covered a lot of ground today, and if this is making sense, but you're still trying to connect how this fits in your business, we can help with that. Just drop your name and email into the chat and we'll follow up. And to wrap things up, I'd like to share why I'm doing this. I started exploring AI because I wanted to make sure my company, Marketing Ideas for Printers, was prepared for a world about to be saturated with AI. But it became so much more than that. It became very personal because I've spent my career helping printers succeed, and I've never seen a shift like this one. There's a big divide forming between printers trying to figure out how to use AI in a meaningful way and those that are actually using it as part of a structured system that produces results, not disappointment. I want you to have those tools and confidence, not only to keep up with AI, but to lead with AI and to use it successfully. That's why we have this AI Workflow Toolkit membership. It's built specifically for printers like you because it fits perfectly with our promise of helping you sell more printing. And that brings us to the end of the workshop itself. Everything you need to start using today's customer testimonial library workflow, we're now complete. If you're watching the recording, you're in a good place to take what you've seen today and apply it on your own time. Just remember, without structure, this just becomes one more good idea that fades away. If you want the structure and rhythm, the link to get started with the membership, that's on the screen. For those of you attending live, I'm going to stay with you for a few moments and give you a taste of what existing members will experience at this afternoon's roundtable. We'll continue to use today's workflow. I can answer questions to help you think through how this adds value to your business, and we can go as deep as you'd like. So stick around as I end the recording.